Welcome to the Cryptography Working Group, July 10th, 2025. All right. I believe, memory serves, we reviewed the schema last time, just to kind of validate that we had everything in place for the JSON schema. I also believe that we gave Basil a few pieces of homework to do because he was on vacation, so couldn't speak for himself. But no, I think we wanted to review the one of the sub schemas for the form, I think it was, and there was something else we wanted his opinion on.
So now the algorithm families, sorry, the curves, that was one that you mentioned.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, just quickly think with Nicholas this week, and I think also something about the examples, basically, looking at the, updating them according to the schema.
Okay, so that's work that all needs to be done then. So that's okay. So that's kind of in progress.
Yeah. So for the examples, I created one PR just before the call to update some of them, not all of them yet. I think Nicholas, you also have some, spent some work. Yeah. So I was trying to mostly look at the algorithms examples and the protocols examples to to add the new features and to sync them with the new algorithm families and patterns for algorithm names.
Okay. I don't see the pull request.
It's in the. I wasn't completely sure where they go, but there's in the bomb examples repository.
Oh, in the bomb examples. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't completely sure if there is something else in the specification repository that but yeah, so or at least I updated some of them and validated them locally with a HAV, I think it's a tool against the
AJV?
Yes.
Okay. The JavaScript tool?
Yes, yeah. HAV.
Okay, yeah, I see your PR now. All right, let's go over the PR. I will this is going to serve multiple purposes. One, kind of be like a foundation for some test cases, and two, to help us author the updates for the CBOM guide, because the guide that we authored last time around, I ended up pulling the snippets out of there and then creating the example, I think is how it goes. Anyway, the what's in the guide and what's in this repository are basically the same. Let me share my screen and we can go over this PR just to kind of make sure we're all on the same page. All right, so 1.7, you updated the name here. That's fine. Algorithm family. Okay. So that's the new.
So the name in general, they sync with the patterns that we have in this extra schema. Right. I think that was the idea probably, right? So that because there isn't a special property in the schema under algorithm properties that says like algorithm patterns. So so it makes most sense to add them to the name, and also asking Nicholas about that. And then
Okay. We'll have to provide some guidance then in the guide.
Mhm.
That's kind of what the expectation is then.
Yeah. And
Um,
I noticed also like there is no, you cannot explicitly add, we had some extra information in this extra schema about the standards, right?
mhm.
Standard
Yep.
and link to standards. So I think they cannot be explicitly added to the C-bomb or the bomb here itself.
Right.
Um,
It's meant to be kind of a lookup.
yeah,
So like
it's
once you
like a
resolve
reference.
the algorithm family, right? Once you figure out the family, then you can get to that other
Yeah,
information. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
then it might also be something for the guide, right? To
Right.
um, add how this is, yeah, what's the idea there?
Okay. So you updated the name here. You added the algorithm family. Um, and then you added some stuff here as well.
Yes, yeah. Um, Added just some things there because here I wanted to make an example of we have one primitive there which was already in 1.6, 1.7 as well. It's about hybrid basically, or we call the primitive combiner. So that's what you see in the third object that I added there.
This one right
And
here.
yes, so this
Yeah.
is the primitive here is it's a combiner, and it uses like a classical algorithm, ECDH, and MLChem in this case. So this is an example of how to use that.
Okay.
So you see, so it adds three algorithms, and below there is a dependency basically that shows that the
Right.
combiner depends on these two algorithms. Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense to me. Okay. And then you're using okay, interesting. Because you're using both the algorithm family and the elliptic curve.
Right. That's I
Right.
just noticed
Yeah.
that it should not be there. I think
Okay.
the combiner itself is kind of agnostic to it, so that
Okay.
yeah, I need to remove that. But I think under the elliptic curve I added here contains the new value from the enum, right? That you have added.
Right. That was kind of the outstanding question to you is, do we want this part of the curve enum name to be part of it, or do we only want the curve name itself?
The first part is the standards body, right?
It is kind of,
Mhm.
but we have things like other,
Mhm.
which doesn't really make a lot of sense. I haven't seen in the list, I haven't seen any curve names that conflict. Doesn't mean there won't be in the future, but I just didn't know like if we should keep this family or whatever this is, this category, this group. I didn't know if we should keep that as part of the enum value itself or drop it. That's kind of an outstanding question.
Yeah, I think it's to be on the safe side, right? If let's say there are two curves out there with the same name but with a different definition, basically. Yeah,
Okay.
think
And the tools,
makes
both
sense.
the
Right?
creation tools and the tools that read the spec, should be able to handle this, you think?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just kind of
Mm.
making sure.
I mean, it's. I think it's probably a bit uncommon. Uncommon. I mean, it's the first time I see it like that, right? Like,
Oh, it
I mean,
is.
usually you just see sec P521R1.
Okay. Well, do we want to align to what the rest of the industry does? I don't have a strong opinion either way. I mean,
But what you meant is that probably for tools it's harder or it's more difficult to recognize
yeah,
that.
because if a tool, for example, knows what this is and it doesn't know how to write it in CycloneDX, my worry is that that tool isn't actually going to look up to see what is the group of this curve and instead put this value in there when it should be this value, and now your bomb is invalid.
Yeah, it would be actually invalid, right? Because it's in enum, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
If the industry is used to using this, honestly, I would rather align to what the rest of the industry does. I mean, I can go ahead and make updates to the sub schema and the Python script that actually generates it. It's like a 5-minute change.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, elliptic curves, I mean, just the way they are used now, let's say in 10 years or so, they won't be used. There
Right,
won't be
exactly.
new ones anymore because of the quantum transition.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, some curves might still be used for some, isogeny-based cryptography, but then I think that
Yeah.
would be a bit different, but it won't be as common as it is today, I believe. So, I mean, you never know, right? But it becomes more unlikely, right, that there will be a flood of new curves, right?
Yeah, I mean, the probability is against it.
But you never know, right? So, but
Right.
could be omitted. I mean, the other, I mean, there are collisions actually the other way around that, but you have them in the schema, right? So that there are different identifiers for the same elliptic curve.
Right. We have the aliases in there.
Yeah.
We have those defined, right? So if so that's already supported. Yeah, I'm now after talking to you, I think I want to drop this first part if that's okay, and just go with the name of the curve.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of cases, not all, but in a lot of cases, the name of the curve already has like the organization in there anyway.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right, I'll make that change. All right, let's you got the dependencies there. Oh, okay, and then let's see, this was just the algorithm. Okay, right.
Yeah, there was one thing just want to mention there. In this example here, you see that I dropped this parameter set identifier because I think the idea there previously was that we have an algorithm name that is just AES, right, which is now the algorithm family, right, which I should probably also add there, which is missing, yeah. But we have the algorithm family is now AES, but now the name includes the whole parameter set identifier, right? It's AS128 GCM and 128-bit. I think that's the tag and 12 bytes initialization vector. So it's all contained in the name and defined by the patterns that we have in the extra schema. So I thought it's probably we won't need the parameter set identifier anymore. So it could be made deprecated, I believe, unless you could think of a use case for that. I mean, the main use case I think I heard in the past was it would be good to have the key length somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
And we said, okay, I mean, sometimes it's the key length, sometimes it's something else, like in ML Chem, it's the 512 is not the key length, but some combination of other parameters. So we have this a bit more abstract as parameter set identifier, and then you can use that information. So that might be still useful, right? But on the other hand, because we now have the patterns for the names, it should be easier to have them uniquely identified. And in case of AES, it contains the key length as well.
Yeah.
Fully decided on if we could just deprecate it or not.
Hmm. My initial thought is no. While in this case, it certainly represents duplicate information of that, for example. We can't, the schema doesn't force this pattern. It is recommended.
Yeah.
But if they want to put something, you know, like a name, like, I don't know, my cryptographic asset is in that, and that's the name, then they're free to do that. And then if they do that, then you kind of miss out on the other stuff, like, you know, the key link. Let's keep it in
Yeah, I
there for
mean,
now,
Mm.
would be my guess. And then we can reevaluate that with CycloneDX 2.0. And if we want to remove it or deprecate it in 2.0, then that would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
Based on like tools in the wild that are actually using it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
I think so, yeah. And if, let's say now there are tools that use this information as kind of the key length, right? It's still useful for them to have that information here with this property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a protocol example that you updated.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, I mean, this one also contains a little bit of correction because,
Yeah.
yeah, crypto functions, I mean, it's a signature scheme, right? And otherwise, yeah. It's
Yep.
basically the same. Yeah. The OID was a bit incorrect, I think. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then this here is the name now is X25519, which is one of the patterns defined under algorithm family ECDH. So we can use that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the curve for it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay, some corrections there again.
Yeah, this
Yes, okay.
yes, and then the SHA 384 just aligns with the patterns that we have.
Got it. Yep. All right, makes sense. So what we've done here is kind of, all right, so we've used the new algorithm family, we're using the new elliptic curve, we've made some corrections. All that is good. What we, I think, also need are some test cases in the specification repo that test some of the newer parts of the spec. So like we'll need test cases for like the algorithm family and elliptic curve. But we'll also need test cases for like the life cycle, because I believe we added the life cycle for the key management for what was it?
Certificate probably.
Certificates? No, we had them for certificates, but we added them for. Oh no, we didn't, did we? We had them for keys, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, there are two more examples, one for keys and one for certificates, and then they
Right.
also then be updated with
Okay.
the new features. I think
All
with
right. So
certificates we had quite some new attributes.
right.
Yeah.
So we'll need test cases. The test cases, in case you're not aware, let me just kind of walk you through where those reside. So those are in tools, source, test, resources. Oh, I guess I should go to the 1.7 crypto branch. 1.7, and then, valid and invalid cases are all here. So this is kind of where they all belong. I don't know how many cryptography ones we actually have. There's a full example, partial example. Yeah. Anyway, take a look at these. If we need new ones, let's create new ones. But we've got examples in JSON, protobuf, and XML.
Yeah, but how does one of these, could you maybe just go into one of these examples? How they look?
Sure.
Here it is.
Well, the full one. So that's the full one. Not a lot there. Again, it doesn't need to be like representing real world stuff. Just validation of the schema itself. And then
there you fill out all the attributes that are there.
Exactly.
And they don't have to make sense, probably, right? Because,
right. This one looks like it kind of does make sense.
yeah, it looks like the example, more or less.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. So in this case, you got an application that depends on a cryptographic library, and that cryptographic library provides AES 128 and also depends on something else.
Yeah, that's very similar to the dependency example in the bomb example. So.
Right. In fact, it might even be the same. We also have, I don't know if we have any for cryptography. It doesn't look like it, but we try to create invalid cases as well. So like, maybe key management that doesn't have the correct state, for example, might be a useful one, or an algorithm family that doesn't exist, or a curve that doesn't exist, right? Would probably be some good examples.
So still on the schema level, right? Not on the content level. I mean, it's content, but like the schema is invalid, not or the validation. Yeah.
Right. So that's where they're located. As next steps, I will go ahead and I will go ahead and make changes to I will go ahead and make changes to the what do you call it? The to this, so that the curve names are represented and these are not. The categories, I'll remove the categories. And we can update the examples. I'll let you know when that's done. And I'll also update the script that actually dynamically generates that. Is there any other algorithm families that we need to be able to represent, Basil?
Yeah, I will review that actually. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, what I can do relatively quickly is just families, right? Because they are in the enum, right?
Yeah, yeah, right. The family itself is in the enum, and then you've got
Yeah.
the definition of the family is all here. I'm just wondering if there's any others that we want to proceed with, knowing that I now have to basically XMLify this file, so that now we're going to have the same data in two different places, at least for the 1.7 release. For 2.0 of Cyclone, we're dropping XML and it'll be JSON only. So
Yeah.
it'll be easier going forward, but
yeah. So is it enough time for you if I until the next call to
yeah,
kind of
that's
go
fine.
through that? And
That's fine, because this is going to live outside of the specification. What I really need is the changes made to the enums themselves, which I will do. And it doesn't sound like we need any other changes to the spec at this point. We reviewed it last time. I think it's fine.
yeah, but one would need to add, let's say, new families to the enum still, right? Because they are part of the mains. No, they are not part of the main spec actually.
They're
right?
not. No,
Yeah.
they're decoupled. So that's by design. So we can iterate on this outside of that, but we will need the test cases done. So the test cases need to be there, and then I need to port all of our changes from the JSON version. I need to port all those changes over to XML and protobuf for this release. So I will do that between now and next week. If we can get the test cases in there by between now and next week, then we should be in a really good position to be able to then send that out for the 30-day mandatory community review, which would then get us into the would it be the August? It might get us into the August. I'd have to look at my calendar. It might get us into the August TC54 meeting. If not August, then it'll be the shortly thereafter. We're going to probably have besides the September meeting, we'll probably have a shorter meeting just to kind of review some last minute changes that are going into the spec, because it basically has to be frozen mid-September.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe Nicholas, we could split the test cases if that would work for you.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I started like kind of before this call, also looking into the certificates, and to my surprise, JetBrains Uni does a very good job in creating the examples. So I went through and refined some things, but it seems like it's quite easy to say, for example, I want to have a CBOM for a certificate that has a custom state or something like that, and it creates it, and we can validate it. So it should be quite straightforward to create then the test cases and the examples. We just have to validate it, go through quickly if it makes sense. I mean, we can validate it with a schema validator for sure. That always works, but later then for the content, that there we have to be a little bit more careful. But yeah, so we can definitely split that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the key management editions, then maybe could look at some test cases for that, and I could add some for the algorithms and the dependencies.
Yep, that sounds good.
All right. Sorry, I had to step away for a second. We had a plumber come to fix our kitchen faucet. Okay. So we have a game plan for how we're going to update that?
Yep.
All right.
We do.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Based on feedback from people using CBOM in the wild, and maybe some questions your team has kind of either fielded themselves or kind of heard about, is there any major, outside of the specification changes, are there any additions, modifications to the CBOM guide that we need to make outside of just handling the changes in the specification?
Well, I think one thing I think we also discussed this briefly, like is maybe what would be useful is to have some guidance on how to connect the CBOM to the other features of XBOM. Like I think now I think the main use cases that we have is for software, right? Obviously.
Yep.
But I mean there is hardware, bill of
Yeah.
materials, the SaaS BOM, I think, with services would be useful. So have some context about that. I think could be very useful.
Do we have maybe then once we get the spec part done, because that's the most important thing right now, maybe we then have, like you said, some examples for services. I would love to have like a real world, but maybe we have to omit the name of the manufacturer probably, but like a real world example of like a hardware key of some kind. That would be really useful. Do we want to have a telecom example? I know we had that one gentleman attend our group for a little bit. Do we want to have some examples like that?
I mean, I can't come up with companies yet. I don't know about it if you can, but otherwise if they have some example, I know they're working also on CBOM, so they come up with an example in the use case, we can take it and put it in the guide at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah, I'm not sure if it's possible to kind of to add the example from Ian, I think, that joined the call a few times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we can edit it, and for me, it's hard to write the context around that if necessary. That's
right. Same.
Yeah.
Are there any kind of other missing content that we know about in the guide?
No, I don't. I think we have already use case part, but if you focus it basically the new guide version around the use cases, I think we briefly touched that, but that would be great. I think that's very much feedback we got in the past that for specific use cases or just in general key management use case, what would be an example CBOM look like? So we always had to come up with such things.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And yeah, one specific thing is, I mean, it's also something new in 1.7 is the protocol section now contains a bit improved version of for Ike or Ike v2. And we had this use case in the past. So probably adding an example or some guidance for that.
Okay.
Will also be good for the guide.
Okay. All right. It is highly probable that, so let's see. The specification is going to be frozen in September, meaning that we can't make changes to it. We can make changes to the wording of what is going to be in the human readable version of the standard, but not the specification itself. So it'll be frozen. That'll give us time to kind of work on the guides. Realistically, I mean, we could theoretically release 1.7 in October or November, followed by the ECMA release of that in early December. So that's kind of like what we're looking for possible timelines, assuming, there's no big hiccups in the road. I don't anticipate there will be, but you never know. But that's kind of the timeline that we're kind of shooting for. And when we release 1.7, when OWASP releases 1.7, which will be earlier than ECMA, obviously, we always try to release the guides at the same time. So there'll be an update to the SBOM guide. There'll be an update to the CBOM guide. I really don't want to wait for, I don't know, Matt, what do you think about the MBOM guide? We need to get that out sooner rather than later, don't we?
Yeah, I've tried to reference people to it, so I have to just send them to the raw GitHub
Yeah.
markdown, and that's not ideal.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm hoping that, I do want to take on the full Kubernetes example that I have baked into slides come fall. So I definitely want to produce an update. So, but I'd love to have the base one out there, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's something I can run or do, and there's some at least crude instructions on how to do it, I'm happy to try and generate it, but I don't know the magic scripts or whatever things you do to make that happen.
Right. One thing that might be useful after we get maybe the 1.7 released out and the guide published, one example that might be really interesting, not because it's going to be overly used, but because it's going to provide maybe an aha kind of moment, is using the MBOM, which is the formulation, how things came to be, capabilities of Cyclone, to represent how how an algorithm, for example, passed some kind of certification, right? Like whether it's FIPS 140-2 or whatever. One of the common criteria is like,
right?
How did it do that?
Yeah, that goes. Yeah, so it goes back to, I think that in every work group I attend, we're entering this, temporal, life cycle thing. So we need to figure out how we represent in all of our guides and all of our examples, from design time, bills and materials, how do we design these things into them with controls and policies, and then how do we build them? How do we build these things? Make sure that they're consistent, and then when we run them, and what to your questions, the CI, how do we test them? How do we make sure they're there? And then make sure that they're still there at runtime as well. So we don't have a framework or example or to go from to how we need something on the main website to talk about this, and we need to back it up in the guides as well.
Right. It's really about end-to-end transparency, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that goes back to, I hate referencing OpenSSF stuff, but it goes back to Salsa 3, and it goes back to, how do you prove provenance and all these attestations? Where do they matter? They only matter if you throw it, consistently, part of the build process and carried through the life cycle. So.
Yeah, I think that's also something, useful. And what I heard sometimes about CBOM, right? What would be nice to have is some features or explanation for processes. Exactly, maybe like that, what you said, how this algorithm has been certified, right? I don't know, what was the lab involved? What were the times, the steps involved there? Or also about keys, right? What's the process behind the key? When was it provisioned? Where has it been transferred and stored and secured or decommissioned? So
yeah,
it's
almost like getting the people who worked on the algorithms themselves to create bills of manufacturing bills of materials to figure out and record the provenance of people who worked on it, and all those things, right?
And then you can actually use CycloneDX at the stations to attest to the fact that yes, this thing is FIPS 140-2 certified. Here's the supporting evidence of how we actually performed the test. Right?
Yeah. That's the inbound definitely has not in our crude example, but obviously it's designed for test cases as well. Running tests, running CI, anything CD, anything, basically.
Yeah. All right. Let's think about that. That's obviously a more advanced use case, but I really like that end-to-end transparency.
I mean,
and it goes beyond just Salsa level 3 though too.
I think I'm understanding your point, and I think that it goes back to getting traction and raising awareness that even we could actually have a discussion about taking the crude build make file build example I have for MBOM, and instead of creating this exhaustive like glorified Kubernetes, how do I build a container for Kubernetes and deploy it and run it with all the different with dozens of Kubernetes um, moving parts, that instead maybe we can get more bang for our buck by showing how it's used through a life cycle. Yeah. So if that's if that's the carrot you're leading me with, it finally clicked with me. So
okay, no, I wasn't trying to lead. I was just trying to
no, but
provide more.
Yeah,
just the missing links, right?
I mean, like I said, if we have a CBOM, if we have other examples and other guides like CBOM or otherwise, and we want to show how the parts are made, it's conceivable that those examples are more easily obtainable or authorable in the MBOM, for additional chapters. And we could start with makefile. We could say this makefile is building some C library, and we could start showing the provenance and attestations and things being added to it slowly. Anyway.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So it sounds like we all have some offline work to do. I'll let the group know once I get my changes in. It might actually be later today, at least for the curve things that I need to do. The conversion to XML and protobuf, that'll be close to our meeting next week. But I'll let you know when that's in there. I'll certainly let you know, Matt, so you can kind of review. And yeah, kind of let me know if you run into any problems with the examples. And Basil, if you could change the pull request for your example, I think there was a couple corrections in there that you needed to make. And then once I get the curves done, you can change that as well. Are there any other topics that folks wanted to bring up today?
No, not from my side.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to getting this kind of wrapped up and working on the guide and getting these things in the hands of actual people that will actually use the spec. So, yay, we're entering that last bit of the stretch.
Before the next stretch begins,
I know, right?
with updating all the tools. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Are you going to be updating? Well, I'm sure you will be. All the open source tools anyway that you've donated to LF?
Yes, that's
for
the plan.
1.7 eventually. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very good.
I heard you got one of my interns to do a contribution or two, or one of my jump starters, I should say. Not.
But he moved quickly forward to OQS, so he was more familiar with that, or more interested in that. But it was, I think, the right choice for him.
Good.
Awesome. Well, have a great day, everyone, and I'll talk to you all soon.
All right. Have a great day.
All right.
Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.